the Raven Heights Radio Podcast. Get weird with us.
Hello, listeners. You tune in to Raven Heights Radio, and I am your host, Erica Winter. And with me today is my lovely co-host, Miss Robin Elaine.
Howdy.
And we're going to talk about a movie that you really wanted me to watch.
I'm really sorry about it already.
Are you?
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Rabid, as in rabies. And I stumbled upon it at work. Which, don't let that be that's not an accurate illustration of what my work life is like. But there was an opportunity. I happened to be sitting there. It came on from start to finish. And I was captivated.
And I thought it was cursed from the moment we turned it on.
Yeah, because buffering.
Because buffering. You had to purchase it twice.
I had to, rent it. I rented it.
And I'm not saying that it's a bad movie. David Cronenberg is very talented, and I appreciate his work. However...
No, I think it's a really...
well-made film.
It's a well-made bad movie.
Yeah. That's the best way to put it. How do we say this in a kind way? Dick Barbs.
Dick Barb and armpit anus. That's spoiler alert.
There's this experimental medical facility that they claim that they're going to do
some sort of plastic surgery, skin grafting. A lot. And it's never really clarified what's actually going on in this facility. You ended up Wikipedia? That's not a word.
And keep in mind, we're fairly focused watching it, but maybe 30 minutes in, I'm like...
There were so many questions.
Yeah, so that's pretty bad when you're like, can I understand the plot a little more clear? But, this lady was in a motorcycle wreck, and they did the skin grafts on her, which I'm assuming somehow accidentally gave her the armpit anus.
Yeah. It's never fully clarified what happened there. First of all, the motorcycle wreck, it does there's a lot of nonsensical filler stuff. And so you think that the boyfriend and her, there's going to be a side story running off of that somewhere? Because No. Why were they even there? Why were they going balls to the walls down that road anyway? There was a sense of urgency that was never resolved. So, and then...
There was a plot that was never resolved.
She was supposed to be burned, but we never see those burns. She gets skin grafts from her thigh onto her body, and something in this new type of skin graft, what was it? Metaphysical?
I'll look it up as you keep talking. That's
okay,
fine.
Yeah. Well, we can only assume that is the root of the problem, which we had to Google during the film.
Hold on. Oh, that was before I started looking up the adult movie theaters.
Oh, yeah.
Do.
What's in your search history?
YouTube, Milwaukee, Nirvana lyrics. Where am I at? But in the
imagine, side conversation, I just had an idea of if you had to choose from a panel of people to date, a dating game of what's in your search history, if you had to choose someone based on what's in their phone search history.
That is terrifying.
Should we start that? Someone can steal that. I would watch it.
It's going to vary from person to person. But you're saying you kind of craft a person based on all the things you search for?
If you had to choose a blind date with someone based on a phone laying out.
Oh,
you had to pick a cell phone and then scroll through I would get a creep for sure.
Oh, morphogenically neutral graphs.
Oh, yeah.
In the hope that it will differentiate and replace the damaged skin and organs.
Well, now it makes so much sense.
No, but I think that's an interesting concept. I'd like to make a movie based on that.
The search history?
Yeah, imagine...
Get deep.
I imagine that could be a really fucked up Black Mirror episode.
Mine would be just not even close to a window into my life. It's just more of a window into things I wonder.
I think that's great. Well, I kind of want you to tell the people about your filming new experiences idea.
Okay, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this. I'm on the fence, like, from day to day. I'm like, yeah, I totally want to get down on that, and then get down on it.
You can get down on it.
But then the next day, I'm like, nah, it seems like a lot of work. It seems like it's already been done. But I would love the opportunity to have a series where I physically try my hand at something that is prototypically Southern Maryland, or prototypically something that has to do with what has created my culture around me.
And partially things outside of your comfort zone.
Yes, definitely.
Like, what was it? Hunting for oysters at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Like trawling for oysters. I have so many. There's definitely potential there there's a contact of a contact of a contact for me somewhere. Mm-hmm. Jousting being the state sport, trying my hand at that.
And I think that's great that you were texting me last week being like, I think I found a contact at medieval times.
I think I might. And then what? I never followed through with it because I don't know where to start. A lot of it is having an emotional support system, like a friend who podcasts and is good at interviewing people.
Hey, like I said, you call me and say, hey, tomorrow you're off, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm picking you up and we're going oyster hunting.
Oyster hunting. First, we should stop calling it that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Definitely trolling for oysters, or...
Sorry, trolling for oysters.
You can even call it fishing, really, if you wanted to.
Oyster fishing.
Oystering.
That sounds a little less violent, I think.
But oysters generally don't need to be hunted. They're not a creature that...
I can just imagine someone with a 12 gauge, going to get this oyster today.
They're not awfully elusive.
That elusive son of a bitch.
They're usually just waiting there to be
I think that's a brilliant idea. I'd watch the hell out of that on YouTube.
My hang up is that it's too close to a lot of things that have already been done, and how to make it uniquely mine, because I don't want it to emulate too closely like an Anthony Bourdain or like a...
I get that, but I think...
And I'm not eating anything overly weird. I'm not getting experimental with what goes in.
Yeah, but what I mean is, location makes a difference. And I think if you're specifically making it like a Southern Maryland thing, that alone could probably go viral in this area because of how... Or even if you make it... How do I say it? If you make it DMV or even Chesapeake.
I think if I can find a way to set the tone from the get-go that this is just for fun and it's just for me...
Yeah.
Then it'd be more fun for people to watch. People eat up. They eat up my dog videos and my dog pictures, and it's because my dogs have their own fan base and people are tuning in for that, and they know that there's no outside seeking of fame with my dogs. It's just something that locally people are interested in. So
yeah, just what I mean is if I were looking for something fun to watch on YouTube and I find out, well, hey, there's this lady and she's local and she's just trying to understand Southern Maryland culture a little better, that would definitely grab my attention.
How did we get here? My dad remembers, spiking tobacco, and that's something that's what I've never had to do, but it's all still here locally. I could try my hand at it and have a better appreciation for why it sucks so bad. Not that I don't believe them. I believe that sucks.
And that you're understanding generations of tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what my mom grew up doing too. Was their farm was a tobacco farm years ago.
I think if it starts small as a just for me thing, and then it's I have this established channel, who else is going to be interested? Who else can I talk to? And then it'll expand from there.
Well, it's that, and I can even tell you with this, I've been podcasting for 3 years, and never did I say, I'm doing this to get a huge audience. I'm doing this to be, air quotes, YouTube famous. I'm doing this because I enjoy it, and it's therapy, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And I get to chat with interesting people, and most importantly, I get to bullshit with my friends, and people like listening to that.
I love the whole podcast era that's happening now, because the idea that you can have your own radio channel, it's radio in your pocket.
It's not commercial, and it's not revolving around money.
Yep. It's just common interests.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, you can say...
It's like taking the social network off the social network and into the airwaves.
Exactly. And you can say, you know what? I don't think enough people are reviewing old episodes of Dynasty. And you can make, like, a whole podcast with running commentary for Dynasty. And somebody somewhere is going to be like, fuck, that was made for me.
I don't know if the listeners can hear the sound of that distressed Dalmatian trying to come through the pane glass window, but I need to let him in my house.
It's okay.
So
you're fine. I'll just keep chit-chatting.
Yeah. I could put you on some hold music.
So anyway, Robin has some amazing dogs, and I think it's absolutely darling that she is a firefighter that has a Dalmatian. Speaking of which, I was very excited earlier when I actually got to tour the truck. The little 5-year-old in me was super excited. I hear the puppies. One of them. But yeah, our day has been hanging out at Chipotle, then going to the fire station, and then watching that weird movie, and now we're back.
Yeah, it was a regular...
I was saying how darling I think it is that, you know, stereotypical Dalmatian, but he's wonderful.
Yeah, I think he's pretty swell. Sam, would you like to say hello? Say hello. All right,
He's like, nope, I am microphone shy. Mom.
It's a radio channel. Say hi.
There we go. Oh, wow. Your sound waves are healthy, Stan.
Sorry, we didn't rehearse.
That's so cool. I didn't realize you taught him to talk, too. The high five really made my day.
Yes, I like high five a hell of a lot more than I like shake. But, you know, I'm not being judgmental. If you've taught your dog shake, I mean, more power to you. That's great.
Can we talk about bees?
Please. What do you want to know?
Well, I mean... no, what I mean is, like, we were talking about, chatting with your dad about the bees thing.
Ants.
Why did I think it was bees?
Because bees are drones, too.
Ants.
Did you see
Sorry
that?
about
There was
that.
a video
Ants.
recently that I watched.
It's because you were talking about your dad and the ants, and then I was saying I know a beekeeper. That's what it was.
Oh, well, beekeepers are really awesome. I would actually, I mean, if we could delve into that too, I would love to take up beekeeping. And oftentimes here in Leonardtown, like they'll have Earth Day celebrations or other like market type things that happen in the square, and a beekeeper will come and like show you how to get started and what the kit looks like. And so basically, to get started, a queen bee is mailed to you in like a block of like sugar. And then the worker bees come in this like coffee can thing, and they're dormant. They're like kind of like sleeping, I guess. And you tip it over and you give it a whack and wake them all up, and then they start eating the queen out of the candy, and then your hive starts developing.
That is so insane.
And you can like set these bee boxes up anywhere, like the roof of your house, or so. If anyone is interested in starting up beekeeping, which is essential to our life here on Earth, look up local beekeeping, I'm sure.
So what is she doing in the block of sugar? Can she breathe?
I don't think she needs to.
Bees are resilient. That's crazy.
Yeah. I know.
You don't want to be a wasp keeper?
That's, you know, I don't think wasps are known for their pollinating. They're known for their, like, wreaking of havoc. I know, I'm also a 911 dispatcher as well, and I know that the 911 centers have an emergency number for a bee person, because a lot of times, just a little synopsis, bees are shipped cross country a couple times a year. So they will go where the crops need them, and then when they can't, you know, when the season changes and it's no longer, it becomes a hostile environment for them, they're shipped back to wherever they came from. So there are truckloads of bees at any given time running down the U.S. highways, and should something go wrong, there are specialists on standby. Should you call 911, there's a bee truck overturned, there are specialists that will respond and wrangle those bees.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, in the way that, like, imagine you're just driving down the highway, taking a vacation, and then bees.
Right.
Not
I
the
slam
bees.
into the back of a tractor trailer. How could this situation get worse? Anywho. Oh, but ants. Yes, my father has developed a new hobby of ant keeping, if that's what it's called. Ant colonizing. He has an ant colony, and it's fascinating. And no matter how much he talks about it, I still have so many questions. So, yeah, I would love to take this podcast over there one day and get it up close and personal.
That would be awesome.
See some ants.
I feel like I don't know enough about ants.
No, I could watch them for hours, though. And I never step on an ant trail on purpose, ever.
I guess I want to know, like, how do they seek sugar? Or, like, how do they know when you've dropped crumbs?
Yeah. Well, I know how the rest of them know. There's
pheromone, right?
Yes, they drop pheromones as they travel, but how does the first ant find it, And my dad can answer these questions because every ant has a specific role. There's different roles. There's different types of ants. We've all heard, like, the queen and the worker ants. It's more than that, you guys. It's more than that. And frankly, if you think too much about it, ants are terrifying. That is...
Yes.
That's like
just in the sheer number, they outnumber the human race.
I think they're very Borg-like. Remember the Borg?
Yes.
Yeah. If you wanted to make noise and talk during this, you're going to need to pull up a chair. Okay? Otherwise, I need you to lay down in your bed and just listen. And that's how I talk to my dogs.
Well,
I'm very real with them.
as fascinating as I find insects, I think your job is really cool.
Okay. I cannot disagree. I'm having a great time with it.
I mean, what was it that made you say, like, I want to be a first responder?
Well, we could go into my entire life if you had time, but even as a kid, I was very tomboyish and very into anything military, anything sporty or boyish, and so I was always doing something or playing pretend at something that was part of a unit, whether it was playing soldier, sailor, airman, paratrooper. I was always part of this imaginary unit. And my grandfather was a prominent paramedic locally in the Tri-County area, mostly Charles County. He was one of the charter members of the Charles County medic unit. And he played a pivotal role in a lot of the services that we have in the volunteer system. He was one of the believers that everybody should have the right to advanced care and, at no expense to the community. We have helicopters services and medevac services. And while the costs of these things are changing, most of it in the Tri-County area still remains majority volunteer work. So.
That's incredible.
Excuse me. So he died when I was 11. I was 11, and I switched it up. I was like attending his funeral, and there was this sea of blue, and there was this helicopter flyover, and there was this whole community of Class A uniforms and people that knew Leon, and that became so appealing to me. That whole there's a unit there. There's this community of people looking out for each other and taking care of each other, and the way we were treated, the way our family was cared for during that time, that really appealed to me. So I became really ate up with riding ambulances or fire trucks or anything. And then when I turned 16 and I was old enough to volunteer in Charles County, I started volunteering at his volunteer rescue squad. I did that for a number of years as a very busy station. And I started to kind of get a little burnt out of ambulances alone and tried my hand at riding fire engines, and I have loved that ever since. So I can't know for certain when I wanted to make that a career, but I knew from a young age that emergency services of some sort was going to be my career path. I couldn't have told you it was going to be firefighting, but I knew that something emergent,
I mean, that takes a special kind of person to really be able to keep your calm in times of crisis.
Yeah,
And even in my job, there are times where we'll have emergencies go down, but not every day is life or death on the line.
Sure. And you develop, you guys watch it in your entertainment, in movies and in television. We as emergency workers, be it police, fire, EMS, dispatchers, we develop a sixth sense of humor and a dryness in our everyday humor, in our everyday outlook, the way we talk to each other. And we can recognize certain things amongst ourselves that the common public might not recognize. Mm-hmm. But there's an exoskeleton that you develop. And
I'm sure
there's a toughness you develop, and there's not a lot of things that have put me off in the moment. Mm-hmm. But there have been things that I've experienced or seen firsthand that maybe a day or so later I might need a minute. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Now, when you're watching these TV shows or movies, is there anything that you see that you call out as in, like, that's bullshit?
Oh, hell yes. Yeah. In fact, I think the reason most of my peers watch things like, you're being very rude right now. I think the reason that most of us even tune into things like Chicago Fire, for example, and is the fun of it, the ridiculousness of it. And it seems like the harder they try at realism, the harder they fall. So
you can say, like, that doesn't hook up that way. You are doing the entirely wrong procedure to save that person.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
It's terrible. Now, I mean, and one of those movies that you said you hadn't seen yet, so next podcast, was Backdraft. That is the most quotable movie in the fire service, and I think it's a damn shame if rookies come through that door and hasn't seen Backdraft. I feel like it should be part of their probationary packet. But it's
as
amazing.
Training?
Yeah, it's amazingly inaccurate as far as
it's like a what not to do film.
Yeah, but the flip side of that, it's very fun. It's okay for entertainment to be fun and unrealistic. That's okay. It really is. Like, we don't have to strive in every aspect of entertainment to get it exactly like real life. Because what happens is you start to become desensitized to the real life things.
Yeah. I mean, that sense of humor that you're talking about, I used to watch Rescue Me.
Yeah, and I love
that show.
I love Rescue Me.
There's a lot of dark humor to it.
And I have heard 50-50 in the fire service about Rescue Me.
Really?
Yeah, 50%, they love it for what it is, for the darkness that it is. The other 50%, they're like, I don't like the way that portrays firemen. Mm-hmm. And they're both valid, but, I've never been in a New York City fire station, so I can't tell you either way. I just know that this is an entertainment venue, that I'm entering whenever I turn on Rescue Me, and I have to take it, for what it is. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is just dark humor, and, take it for what it is. Enjoy your entertainment. It's art.
Yeah. And I'm sure, too, like, that show touch people in different ways, considering they do mention 9/11 quite a bit.
Sure, yeah. For the time that it came out, and the personal
connection to that.
Yeah, well, and Dennis Leary having personal connections to those events, and yeah. But the flip side of these entertainment things is I'm very sorry, listeners, for my rude dog. He's rude and he's loud, and we're gonna work on this next time. But
it's quite all right.
I think what bothers me a little bit is that there is an unrealistic expectation of what actually happens in a fire. Mm-hmm. And I worry for people that watch that and think that you can just walk around in hot environments without breathing protection, or, walk through smoke-filled houses. And there's a lot of unrealistic things going on there that kind of, sit down with your kids and let them know we need to practice your fire escape plans and know 2 ways out.
Well, I was actually going to ask you, fire tips.
Oh, I'm all over that. Let me let my dog in.
Okay, gotcha. Another doggy break. But yeah, Rescue Me, that was one show that I was faithful with every episode, and I was actually really satisfied with the ending of.
You liked the ending of Rescue Me?
I did. So, any fire safety tips for our listeners before we...
Absolutely. So there's this new movement I'm really jumping on board with here. It's the close before you doze movement. You can YouTube that, Google it, Bing it, what have you. I'm not trying to plug any one search engine, but I'm a big pusher of the close before you doze. Right, Stan? Well, now you're not going to do it. And we're trying to push people to start sleeping with the door closed. It's one of the biggest things you can do. It's one of the biggest lifestyle changes you can make to save life and property. This message is endorsed by Stan.
Well, on that note, thank you very much. I think it's been a fun podcast.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to do this semi-regularly once we start our film adventures particularly.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Okay, well, anything else you want to say to your listeners before we sign off?
No, it's been real. Thanks for listening to me.
Yep. Thank you, and good night.